afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Life as I See It with your hostess, Dina Nierenberg. And today with me, I have Tiffany Stoika of EST.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me again.
My pleasure, my darling. It's so great to see you again.
Of course, this is the best show in the world. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Same, same, agreed. And I have with me Sarah Rosenbaum. She's an intuitive practitioner. My favorite intuitive practitioner.
Aww.
And actually, that's how I know you. I know you, yeah. Wow, so we put a lot of thought into what we're going to be discussing today, and we're going to be discussing tolerance of every kind. And you know, we all like to talk about food tolerances, food intolerances. So that's what we're going to be talking about first, and we'll take it from there, as we always do with these shows. A lot of like improv. Everybody out there knows that. And so when we think about food tolerance and intolerance, everybody has what they can eat, what they can't eat, and what they shouldn't eat. You know, everyone has their food, not even so much what I like, not even my preferences as much as like what I need to eat in order to live, not just survive, but thrive in this world. You know, it's like surviving is when you eat the wrong things and then you need the bathroom every half hour, once an hour, right? Thriving is when you don't have to spend your entire morning, afternoon, and evening in the bathroom. Am I right? You see? Yeah.
And when the things you eat actually help you and nourish you and enhance you, give you energy, give you, you know, replenish everything.
That's
and
right.
not just avoiding the negatives, but also actually enhancing.
That's right. Enhancing the positive, eating the right things. So the first time that Sarah came to stay by me, I was all, okay, so what do you eat?
Because she's such a good hostess.
Oh!
Like, oh, don't even worry about
Sarah,
it.
thank
No,
you.
she really just asked her, like, no, really. I could tell that, you know, some people kind of say that, but they don't really want to go. I don't like making people go out of their way for things, so I didn't. But she asked, and she like asked in such a way that I knew that she really meant it, and she would be one of those people, like she's just so sincere that if I actually didn't tell her, because I do have, right? I've been on a regimen for about 8 years that I learned from somebody who learned from a doctor in South Korea, and I am pretty almost 100% with it when I have the choice to be. So I knew, so I try to kind of like, don't worry about it, doesn't matter, and I just choose quietly whatever I can eat, and I don't need to say anything to anybody. But I could tell that the way that Dina asked, and she like kept at, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that if I didn't tell her and she found
I
out
was
while
gonna
I
have
was
a heart
there,
attack. That's what was
I
gonna
was
happen.
actually like, why didn't you just tell me? I would have been so happy to. I'm like, you know what? Oh my gosh, it's just so. It just speaks to your kind heart that
Thank you.
and I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my
It's
pleasure.
true.
You're doing me a big favor by telling me, because otherwise I'm like, I'd be buying 6 different types of milk. It turns out that this girl drinks whole milk. I'm like,
Who does that?
I was gonna say, who does that anymore?
Who even drinks cow milk anymore?
Yeah.
Only me.
Yeah, no,
It's on my regimen.
yeah, oh my gosh. Those days for me have passed 30 years ago, at a maximum. Probably even before that, but I couldn't admit that to myself. Because I loved Carvel milkshakes too much.
A lot of dairy is very delicious.
If only they had all
Everything
right?
dairy is delicious. Everything.
Yeah, so it turns out that what Sarah was able to eat was the complete and total opposite of what I'm able to eat. See, I am intolerant to gluten, intolerant to dairy, really should be staying away from all sugar. And when Sarah was telling me what she's able to eat, she's able to drink whole milk, eat white bread, have some sugar. I'm like, whoa, okay, so you're the total polar opposite of what
Wheat bread, by the way, not rye.
but not rye. But not
Like
rye.
there are, so most
Which
people
is interesting
Yeah.
because some people who are gluten intolerant can still do the rye thing.
And that's why. Because
see?
that's good for them. It's a whole, like, it just depends what type you are. It's not blood type, but whatever constitution you are. It's like, that's why some people who are vegan and love sushi and love salads and drink tea, green tea, and not coffee and not sugar, because that all goes together. But then the kind of danger, really, I guess, for people of my constitution is that that's the health stuff that gets all the press, right? Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't need to, right? But the thing is, because of that, people like me, if they get sick, God forbid, or if they want to, you know, like be healthy, that's what they're going to gravitate toward. And then there's no chance that anyone's going to think, oh, it's the lettuce and cucumber salads that you've been eating that's making you sick. Nobody on the planet would think that logically, you know, only if like I just feel very, very blessed to have been able to learn this. And I came across it, thank God, not because I was sick or looking for anything. It just happened to have been like a friend of a friend got on this person's regimen because of somebody else who was a mutual friend, a couple actually, they were both very sick and they didn't know where else to turn, and somebody recommended, hey, you know, if you have nothing else to lose, why don't you go to this person? He doesn't sell any products, he doesn't sell any tinctures, he just happens to whatever, he studied it, you know, for like 13 years under this Korean master, and he learned, and he said, look, try eliminating such and such and such from your diet and eating this and this and this instead. And they were just blown away just because they knew them. They're like, what is your secret? And she said, look, I went to this person. She said, okay, I want to try too. And then she was like blown away also. She lost weight and she felt better and whatever. And she just sent out kind of a bulk email to a lot of people, including me. Hey, there's this person practitioner. He learned it, you know.
Lettuce is poison for you, for some people.
Yeah, but it just depends who you are.
I will trust anything that the Koreans say because if you don't notice, they don't have an obese population like we do in America.
That's true.
They have cleaner stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They live longer
Yeah.
than a lot of people here, and they just take care of themselves way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and the attitude also, and their
Of
skin
course.
is
Their skin is perfect.
glowing.
Their skin is amazing.
It could be my age, but look like a 20-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
They
it's
all
like,
do,
and
yeah.
they walk around looking like 20-somethings.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really,
And
there's
they
something
have
to be learned
strength.
from
The
them.
older people, they're all
yeah, that's
strong.
true.
They're all.
They
It's not
work
like
and-
they're just old. They're living and they're just sitting and waiting for their time. No,
They're
they're
thriving.
working.
Yeah.
They're going out. They're,
They're
farming.
working in their
they're
garden.
doing
Yeah,
everything.
exactly.
They're
They're
doing
doing
everything.
physical
Yes.
work.
I know. It's like,
Yeah,
it
that's a good
gives
point.
gives me hope. You
Yeah.
know, you see
They know
so-
their stuff.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I trust them. So,
Okay. Now I do too.
Yeah.
I didn't have any experience before, but yeah.
Yeah. You know, you see so many people in this American population that we have, and they hit 70 years old, and they could barely walk, and they're already
Yeah.
with canes and walkers. Like, 70 is still young in this
Yeah.
day and
You
age.
want to talk about
Absolutely.
70, 25? My back hurts.
You
25.
see? Yeah.
So it's definitely
At
it's
my
a
age,
problem
my back
in
hurts.
America.
If I do not stretch in the morning, my back hurts. I'm like, do you want your back to hurt all day? Heck no. Stretch.
care of it,
It's
yeah.
like, it's a very obvious what to do, you know?
But yeah, no food. There's like, just how you said the press. There's a lot of foods that go viral for the moment, and
Yep.
everyone thinks that it's okay for them, like celery, celery juice,
oh.
or
Yep.
what else did we have? Kale was
Yep,
trending.
yep,
Hate
yep.
kale.
All these things. Same. Never.
It's
catch
not
me
lettuce,
eating
and
it.
it'll never be.
No. So yeah, I agree with you. Things go trending, things go
Yeah.
viral, and it just doesn't work out for you.
And the thing is
right.
that one of the problems is that let's say there really are studies that are done, you know, and they find in the study, let's say even like 65% of the people in the study, you know, fixed some sort of ailment or got some sort of benefit from, let's say, kale, celery, whatever it is, right? Then what happens is that's a very successful study. 65% of the people it worked for, that's amazing. But we say, well, 65% is the majority, so we're gonna publicize this for 100% of the
Yeah.
population. But did you ever stop to think that maybe the 35% that it didn't work for, maybe it wasn't neutral, maybe it was harmful for them?
Yeah.
It's a third of all
Harmful.
people.
I'm
It's
saying,
billions of people
and
still.
even if it's a 52% who benefited, they'll still recommend it for everybody, for 100% of the population. And not only that, like people will get shamed for not. You're not feeling well. You know what you should be doing? Drink more celery juice in the morning. Do this, do that. And the thing is, there are people who that is the right answer for. There are people who, of course, that's like it gives.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that. It's coming from a very good place in everybody.
Sure.
It's coming from a giving place.
Sure.
If they are one of those people, including doctors or somebody who just had a health issue and they said, celery juice saved my life, they want to share that with everyone. They want to say,
Sure.
so you do it too.
Yeah.
Maybe it's hard at the beginning, but it worked for me and I want to share that with you. It's really from a positive place.
It's not
Coming
from a
from-
bad
But
place.
no, it's from
I
a
agree.
very good giving place,
Yeah.
but it's just because they don't know that actually not all humans are the same. We have basically the same organs and basically the same makeup, but it's not really. There are important
100%.
differences.
Yeah.
100%. Some things are more harmful for some people. Like just how you say lettuce.
Yeah.
It's 95% water, you can say, but there's some people that it bloats you like crazy.
Yes, I
And
can
there's
say.
some people that it takes off the, what is it called, the inflammation.
Information.
Oh.
Right.
So it's
Right.
different for everybody. You're 100%
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Right.
My acupuncturist told me that one of the worst things for me to eat, and she said it, is lettuce.
What? She
Lettuce. She
did?
said lettuce, and I'm like, what do you? Lettuce is the healthiest thing in the whole
Yeah.
entire world.
Wait, why did she-
It's
for
completely
you-
alkaline for me.
You specifically,
So for
because
me
she's-
specifically, she's like, if you ever eat vegetables, please cook them. Do not eat them
Oh,
raw.
raw.
They will cause you all types of gastrointestinal
Yeah.
distress,
Huh.
plus bloating. She's like, she's just like looking at me. She's like, just do not eat your veggies raw, and lettuce must be cooked.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
It's
like,
like
yeah.
a banana. A banana, if you blend it and drink it, there's more sugar in it than if you were to eat it.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
It's crazy. It's weird,
I know,
but it
yeah.
makes sense.
A banana's a funny
Wow.
food anyway. A banana can work out or not work out
Yeah.
for just about anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, but did she tell you that? Did you notice that yourself? That when you have raw vegetables, that it bloats you, or like, did you notice that what she said was accurate for you?
I noticed I was spending way more time in the bathroom after eating salads. And I'm like, but that makes no
Wow.
sense. It's green. It's
Right, you
green.
think.
It's
It's
like by
practically
that
nothing.
logic, you could just eat
But
green.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, so it made no sense to me that
Huh.
there was some green that like I shouldn't eat or I
Okay,
should
right.
prepare it in a certain way.
Yes.
It's like people who eat peppers, you're like, it should be healthy. It's a great veggie coming straight from the garden,
Exactly.
but then it goes and it gives you acid reflux for
yeah.
like 3 days. So what are peppers? Are they healthy or are they not healthy, and for whom?
For whom? That's
Yeah.
Recently, my grandma has been going through something for a year now.
Oh my.
Patches all over her skin,
Oh no.
dry, rough. We didn't understand what it was. We're thinking, okay, maybe it's psoriasis. No, she doesn't have psoriasis. Maybe it's an allergy to some kind of medication that she's taking. The woman's on a lot of medication at that age. No, absolutely not. Blood tests, everything has gone. We've noticed that when she fasts, fasting meaning no dairy, no meat, no nothing, those go away.
Go away.
So what did we come to a conclusion? Milk and dairy is making that happen to her. And after so many years, that's also another thing. Your body changes every single day.
does.
What worked for you yesterday might not work for you today anymore.
Or the thing is, it could have been that it was a buildup.
Yeah.
Right? That it could tolerate, because what happens is our body is like constantly kind of repairing things,
Yeah.
right? Like if you have a cut, it'll go away on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can put things on to help that process, but the body knows how to heal itself
Yeah.
actually. That's how we were created, thank God,
Yeah.
in infinite wisdom. So
Yeah,
it's the same
that's
thing.
right.
Like if we eat things, it'll digest them and it'll take it, but
Yeah.
then if we have a reaction to them, hopefully it also is getting rid of it. But at some point, if we have too much, that's why only at a certain age things start catching up with people
Yes.
sometimes.
It's true.
Because it's too much for the body to do at its own pace. And then it starts having, it could be that it was always
Always
harmful,
there,
but it wasn't
yeah.
as bad because there wasn't as much
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
the body could handle it on its own.
Right, at a younger
100%.
age, and now
Yeah.
it can have major repercussions. Like back in the day, I was eating gluten and dairy, even though I saw it didn't always work out. But I'm like, hey, but it still
It's too
was working out.
delicious.
It was too
Yeah.
delicious, and it somehow worked itself out. At age 50, okay, just at my age, but whatever. So I see. Thank you, darling. I see that when I eat these things, so hey, I don't feel good for 3 days.
Oh my
Plus
gosh.
the bloating that happens, and so I don't fit into my clothes. Plus, I get to look 5 months pregnant. So it's worth it for me to just just stay on the plan, honey. Just stay on the plan. And these days, you go to the health food stores, Whole Foods, or even any health food store, and even many restaurants, they're already thinking of my crowd. As in like,
Yes.
let's go gluten free. They'll give you
Yes.
gluten-free
Yeah.
pasta,
I think
gluten-free
that's
bread.
amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
It's so great that people are catching on and accommodating because it's really, really real. The people who are gluten sensitive, it is really bad for them,
Yeah.
and dairy sensitive, it's a real thing. Like I'm so
Yeah.
happy
It
that
is,
there are so
yeah.
many alternatives.
Yeah, oat milk, soy
Yep.
milk, which I started to love, and which
Yep.
is so healthy for women. And that's the thing. I hate when food is they're blacklisted.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Yeah.
20 years ago, soy milk was blacklisted for women, saying, oh, it could give you breast cancer, it can give you all types of lady issues. And now, over the past few years, they're touting it as being something really amazing that could actually prevent breast cancer. So drink your soy milk. Don't drink like a whole cow's worth of soy milk, But a couple of cups of it a day are great for a woman, and it's great for her bones and for her energy, for her strength. And yeah, to also prevent all the issues 100%.
Can I just say something very controversial right
Sure.
now that
Yes,
you just
ma'am.
reminded me of?
Yes.
So basically, for me, that's another thing that I feel like that we should all learn from, because think about where we're getting our information from, right? So you just said, what, 20 years ago, they said soy milk is bad. Before that, by the way, why did soy milk become a trend even? Because they were looking at the Asian cultures and saying, look, what can we learn? Which is great. Like
Yeah.
the American, we want to learn from other cultures. We don't want to have the obesity problems. We don't want to have, right?
course.
We want to live longer and be younger and more active. So they said, oh, well, they eat a lot of soy products. So I guess we should too.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That was a major difference. But the problem is that it's an American mindset or North American Western mindset that like more is better. Okay? So they're like, let's make everything with tons of soy.
Yeah.
Then they started noticing maybe too much soy. Like think about it. The soybean is the edamame, right? If you have beans, like a whole serving of edamame, you can have that and it's satiating and it's delicious. But do you know how much edamame you have to think about juicing? Like how many
Yeah.
apples does it take to make half a cup of apple
Yeah.
juice? You're having a lot of volume in a really short amount of time. So all the soy products that are made from edamame, it's just tons, like tofu, soy milk, you know what I'm saying? So they started looking into, okay, well, this is a problem. So, they tend to be so all or nothing, black and white.
Yeah,
Soy
that's
is the
the
best
issue.
thing in the world. Have everything is like,
Yeah.
oh, soy is bad. It's not that it's bad. Too much of anything,
Yeah.
first of all.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the other thing, this is the controversial thing that I wanted to get to, is that again with the studies, like I mentioned the studies already. 20 years ago, or even 2 years ago, or 2 minutes ago, the studies came out, blah, 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 and everybody just does. Now, even the fact that now the studies are showing, oh, those studies before aren't accurate anymore. Now soy is good for you and it prevents this and that. Again, the issue is, for what percentage of the people in the study, if they don't know, let's say, the constitutions of the people in the study, there's no way that it can be, they don't know who they're supposed to tell the information to.
speaking
That's
to
first
say
of all.
to everybody.
And also, even just putting that aside, it doesn't matter what they don't know or why they don't know or whatever. If constantly we're changing what we're eating and what's good for us and what's bad for us, right? Remember, eggs were good and now they're bad.
Yeah.
Because a new study shows that, but a study showed it, but that it was good. So why would I believe this new study that shows that it's now good or now bad when for sure, even if it's because science is on the cutting edge and everything and we're constantly okay, but you know for a fact that this is going to be contradicted in a few
Yeah.
years. It can't be. It just, to me, it doesn't seem logical to continue to just change what I'm doing based on the latest study, because for a fact, it's going to change and be even if it's because now there's new cutting edge thing. But why do I want to be following that train? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Social media also pushes it on to people. If it's trending somewhere, like everybody was
Oh,
taking
yeah.
CMOS,
Oh yeah.
that doesn't
yeah,
work
I
for everybody.
Exactly.
Then they were taking the chlorophyll drops.
Oh,
That doesn't
yeah.
work for everybody. And also, why are you forcing your body to remove certain odors? Like, that it's not for everyone. It's really not for
I
everyone.
didn't hear about that.
Yeah, that's what it did. That's what people said, that their armpits smelled better, their breath smelled better.
But like, what's
But don't
happening
you
to
think
make that happen?
something's erasing
Right.
inside, something
gosh,
natural
crazy.
that you should be producing
Right.
is
Right.
getting
Such
erased?
as sweat, you know? It's
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Not everything is good for you. Not everything. Yeah, listen, do your research.
Yeah.
See how it works out for,
For
you.
yourself, personally.
Speak to your doctor.
Exactly.
right.
And
Speak to-
monitor.
exactly.
That's
Monitor
right.
yourself. Also ask
Yes.
your parents.
Very carefully.
Ask your grandparents
Yeah,
because
that's
hello, genetics.
Genetics.
Everything, everything comes in play. So you always
Right.
have to ask for information, always
Yeah.
have to be aware of everything. And don't just do stuff
The
because
latest thing.
a group of
trends
people are
say
doing
so.
it. Yeah.
And they're young and stunning and extremely skinny.
Especially
It's
what
like,
you're consuming inside. It's not a makeup product, it's not a clothing item.
Oh, yeah.
It's
It's
food.
changing your-
yeah.
It changes you
Inside.
completely.
Exactly. Women also don't
Potentially.
understand. Women have more hormones. Hormones come into play with everything. Not everything lines up with the hormones.
Yeah.
Women hit menopause. Women, there's certain things that you can't eat after menopause anymore. There's certain
Sure.
things that you can't consume anymore. There's
Sugar, hot
Yes.
sweats, and, ugh.
So that all comes into play.
Yeah,
Age,
100%.
everything.
100%, yeah, and it's like, there's another question, let's say on red wine, for those of us who like to drink red wine. Should you, shouldn't you? And there are like studies that show that, well, you shouldn't, because it causes breast problems. Then there are studies that say, well, it's great for the heart.
Right.
Yeah.
And you get so many benefits if you
Right.
just have like 5 ounces a
Right.
day. But then the question is it red or white? Red, they say, is more healthy. What kind of red is the healthiest? And then there are choices. But what might work for me, such as like Pinot Noir a little bit, will not work for everybody.
Yeah.
Some people get supremely nauseous on that, and they find it to be too acidic. I find it to be fine. So like, there's so many questions on that also. It's like, you don't really know which way to turn. So you have to turn to your intuition.
Yeah.
You've got to turn to your
that's
intuition.
another-
Yeah, and you know yourself what's going to work out and what's not going to work out. If you start to eat this whole meal or even one thing that just suddenly you don't feel so well after, it's either physically or mentally, because you know the stomach is attached to the brain via the vagus nerve. If it's not going to work out for you, your intuition says, hey, Dina, don't eat that anymore. It doesn't work out for you. What are you doing to yourself? What are you doing to your body? What are you doing to your mind? You work so hard. You exercise and you try to eat right and you do your EFT and all that kind of thing. And you see the right therapist. So why would you go then and eat a pizza that's full of gluten and dairy that you know that for you is the wrong choice? So if I listen to my intuition, I get along just great. But I don't listen to my intuition, that's why I don't fit into my clothes.
Yeah.
That's always a good general rule. If you listen to your intuition about anything, everything, you're going to be on the right track.
That's right. That's right.
Something
Easier
I've
said
noticed
than
growing up, if you keep the same pair of jeans for a long time and you wear them constantly, you'll always be in the same shape. Because you know your limit is those jeans.
That's such a good
Yeah.
idea.
The second those jeans get tight on you,
You
you
know
know
That's-
you need
yeah.
to
Something
stop.
gotta change.
Yeah, you need to stop.
Yes.
That's
That
why
is so smart.
always
Right.
keep your jeans from your
Smart.
teenage years.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
a great way to track yourself. If you buy yourself clothes that are bigger, you're allowing yourself to get bigger.
That's right. Correct.
I like that.
It's,
It's,
yeah.
yeah. You play with it, like, you know, in your head,
Yeah.
you build up certain ways to just control yourself.
That's
I
right.
already have a practical takeaway now from this.
Yeah.
From interview.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
That is
yes.
a good one. Wow.
Yeah. About 30 years ago, one of my relatives told me, you know, don't go on these crazy diets of the day. And we're talking about 30 years
Fads.
ago when like the fads were just crazy and like thin is in was really what unfortunately was in the magazines and the movies, and everybody could be 5'6" and the directors would insist that you be 100 pounds max.
Right.
And even that could be a little bit overweight. So I was starting to diet a little bit because I started to find myself changing a little bit, my metabolism. So relatives were telling me, okay, you have one outfit that you absolutely love and it fits you just perfectly on all the right days. Be in that outfit. And if you can fit yourself into that outfit, you know that you're in great shape. To get off the scale, don't own a scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did actually take in my grandmother's medical scale after she died, but it's more like for like, you know, it's beauty purposes. And the history that went along with
Well,
it.
yeah.
It's like a great commemoration, but it's not going to decide whether I'm thin, fat, anything in the middle, or whether I'm gorgeous or not. So I say, this is what I've learned from my relatives. Just try on this one particular outfit that you've chosen, and you're not too thin in it, and you're not too fat in it. You just look great in it, and you feel healthy in it. Go with that. That's the outfit that you go with, and if it fits you, you know that you're in great shape. If it doesn't fit you, okay, you can lose 5 pounds. But that's it.
In a healthy way,
In
hopefully.
a
not
healthy
bad
way.
in
God
order to-
willing, in a
yeah.
healthy way.
Wow, it's good.
Also, another thing is for the younger generation, girls think that they need to starve themselves to become thinner. I'm not gonna lie, I've done that many times in my teenage years.
guilty.
I was losing weight very unhealthy, very. Up until, honestly, I guess 2 years ago, for the first time in my life, I dieted and exercised and lost weight the right way.
Wow.
In the right time. And it honestly took for me to plan out my meals,
Sure.
count the calories. You gotta be very into it. You can't just say, that's it, I'm closing my mouth, I'm not eating.
Right.
You gotta cook for yourself. You gotta make things yourself. clean the chicken yourself. Make it all yourself so you know
Yeah.
what's going into your body. And honestly, I lost 40 pounds in a month and a half.
Whoa.
In a month, healthy, and I kept the
Amazing.
weight off for
Wow.
a year and a half. First time ever. When I used to starve myself, the second I
We
opened
eat
my
some
mouth,
Yeah, it does.
I'm
okay.
back to square one.
Sure,
Crazy.
sure.
It's
Yeah.
always like that.
You have to make it a
So,
priority.
yeah,
It's
you have
hard,
to-
and this,
you have
you
to-
know,
Right,
so much
yeah.
to do these
100%.
days.
You have to care about yourself, and you have to
Wow,
put
wow.
the love into the food that you're eating.
Sure, sure.
And
sure.
then it all
Yeah.
transfers onto you. So that definitely took me a long time, because when you're younger, especially the generation boys liking, just growing up and seeing what everyone likes, and you're like, oh, I want to be like this girl, but this girl's a little bit skinnier than me. Let me shut my mouth and just.
Yeah, yeah. The traps that we fall into. Even 30, 35 years ago was becoming cool to starve yourself. And a lot of people didn't realize that, but like a small culture of the girls I hung out with were starting to be like, okay, I'm going to shut my mouth all day long. And maybe like at the end of the day,
Binge, I'm sure,
because
you're
we're
starving.
all 17 years old, okay, and then
Actually.
they'd go and eat half a cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, but you,
All your calories
when
back.
you're 17 and you don't eat all day long, you could literally eat half a cake in a sitting. And I can admit that one summer in camp, it was such a big thing to starve yourself that I was eating a prisoner's diet. Bread and water 3 times a day, nothing in between, nothing in between. The only
Wow.
difference between me and what the prisoner was eating was that once a week I would have the day off from my job. I'd go to my friend's bungalow and eat like nobody's business. Eat at a grocery store only to go back and starve myself the
Yeah.
other 6 days of the week,
Oy, oy.
including Shabbat. I would
Oh,
starve.
no.
I would starve myself. I would refuse to eat. I'd say, I want to be skinny, really, really skinny. That's how I want to be. Anyway, I get home after the summer, and my relatives are all like, which camp did you go to this summer? They're
Like,
like,
how did they let you? How did they let you
it's
not
like,
eat?
how,
Like,
I
they
had
didn't
lost,
notice.
yeah, I didn't have a scale in camp, so I lost 30 pounds in one
Wow.
summer, and I didn't need to.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't,
had a feeling.
didn't
That's
need
why
to.
As a
I knew
young
you.
Like, I was like a young girl who weighed 116 pounds. And then
my
I go,
gosh.
how do you lose 30 pounds? I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like somebody say something. Nobody
Yeah,
said a darn
no one
thing.
says anything.
That's-
Nobody said anything. People,
Wow.
Yeah.
were they afraid to? People didn't know. People didn't know anything back then about anorexia, or they knew very, very minimal, or they were getting the wrong information somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should not have been, but it's fine. I've never, ever, ever blamed anyone for it. It was all on me.
It's
This
on
eating
you.
bread and water thing and taking laxatives and eating once a week. That was all on me. I've got nobody to blame but myself. But blaming doesn't really get me anywhere, does it? Right? We live in a world where people are many a time so intolerant of each other. They don't really give each other the benefit of the doubt. They say, oh, my culture is different than your culture and it's different than your culture. Why is there no world peace? Because of your culture. Because your culture likes to fight. Because your culture needs this. Because your culture needs more land. Because your culture needs more power. We talk about tolerance. We're talking about tolerance not just for what we put into our bodies and what we can and cannot eat, but also how we treat each other. How do we tolerate each other? And when it comes to tolerating each other, it's not like, okay, I can tolerate this and this, but I cannot tolerate that. Tolerance for people has to be an entire thing, a global thing. We need tolerance for one another in order to not only survive in this world, but also to thrive in this world. We need to bring each other up, not pull each other down with our intolerances. Tolerate. We've got to tolerate 1,000,000% of the time, 1,000,000% of the people. And when I go on the trade, I try to make it my business to absolutely see everybody as a relative. A daughter, a son, a nephew, a niece, a parent, a grandparent. And when I'm doing that, I say, whoa, I love this train. And I love everybody on this train. And it's because I'm being so tolerant. And this is how I want to live my life. Ladies, what do you think?
I agree with you. You have to treat people with respect, because the world that we live in now, you say the wrong thing, you don't know who's gonna jump on top of you and attack you for it.
It's true.
It's hard. But our area here, it's a little scary here, because people are playing the bumper sticker game. If you don't have a bumper sticker on your car, you're not part of the club, and they look at you different.
Are you
And
serious?
yeah, it's honestly, it's a huge issue in our area. If you don't have a flag up, like a client came up to me, why don't you have this flag up? I told her if I put this flag up, I have
Then
to put
yeah.
them all, and I'm gonna be the United Nations right in the middle of Emmons Avenue.
That's right.
I'm not. I can't. At the end of the day, we live in America.
That's right.
We are in America. We left our countries. We
That's
can
right.
help. We can donate. We can speak for them. We can chant for them. Whatever it is, pray for them. Sure, but unless you're getting a plane ticket home and fighting and doing whatever, what can you say to the people that you live around here?
That's right.
Absolutely nothing. You have to tolerate them.
That's
There's
right.
people that I don't
That's
even
right.
want to look at their face when I
That's
see them
right.
down the
That's right.
street. But I will say hello
Lady
because
of
we
liberty.
exactly we have to tolerate each other one way or another. We live in
That's
the
right.
same location. We live
Yeah.
in the same
That's
area.
right.
I can't sit here. There's a lot of businesses around our area that are, if they're Muslim owned, the Jewish people don't want to go there. If they're Jewish owned, the Muslim people don't want to go there.
Wow.
The Russians as well. If you're Ukrainian, they're not going into Russian areas. If you're Russian, they're not
Yeah.
going to.
I've heard
And
of
it's
this.
ridiculous because end of the day, we left our countries. We live here as a whole. We should be supporting each other.
Absolutely.
That's right.
100%.
Land of the free and home of the
Correct.
brave. Sarah, what do you say?
Yes.
Of course, I agree. And it's like, especially the last thing that you just said, you know, a lot, let's see the current war, all of the wars that you
Yeah.
just alluded to, it's like a major part of the problem is civilian casualties,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Let's say their governments or their country general, like in general, has
Yeah.
things to work out. Okay, war is the worst way. Sometimes it's unfortunately not an option. Like if somebody
It's the-
gets
it's the
dragged
last
into a war and
resort,
needs
yeah.
there's, but like if people are canceling each other and blocking each other and judging each other and or even being like actually aggressive toward
Yes.
each other, whether verbally or any way, because of the country, like you're saying, Ukraine, Russia, whatever, not
Yeah.
that's civilian, not casualties, but what's that word? I don't know the war word for it, but it's not, like fallout or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, I
It's like
understand.
you're attacking civilians
Yes.
for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem. Like just because they were born there and maybe they even have affinity, but what does that have to do
But it's a
with your
political
life?
agenda. It's between the presidents. It's between the big people. We as people, we just sit and watch. They experience it. Innocent people are experiencing things that they never needed to because of big people who want to act like they're bigger than each other.
That's right.
And that's basically the problem.
And it's actually the opposite because again, the best thing that we can possibly do to try to get toward peace is to tolerate each other.
tolerate
each
Not
other.
just tolerate and embrace, try to understand or speak, or just, even if you have to say, look, let's not talk about such and such
That's
topic,
right,
right?
that's
Who cares?
right,
That's
that's right.
okay. That's
Yeah.
part of
Yeah.
it. If you're emotional about something and you don't want to get into, that's okay.
course,
But you
everyone
can
has their own
still,
opinions.
you're still a person.
Yeah.
Depends regardless where you're from, where you were born, where you're living now, what you believe in, like that we can we can do that on our micro level with the people. Like that's the only way I think that anything can get to a macro level, a global level, an inter-country level of learning how to actually work things out, hopefully before it gets to a last resort,
If
of
you
war.
get into, God forbid, a car accident or you're trapped in an elevator or something like that, you're not going to sit there and sit and say, hey, what nationality was the guy who helped me?
Let's
It
hope
doesn't
not.
matter.
Yeah, I mean,
Who cares? They
or
helped
like
you.
not.
We all
If
have
somebody
red blood.
came,
Be
yeah.
thankful
That's
for
right.
life.
That's
That's
right.
it. Because
Of
that person
course.
saved your life. You're not going to sit there and say, hey, if it was a Muslim guy, I'm not going to say thank you. If it was a Jewish woman, I'm not going to say thank you. Because that's not, I'm against that.
Oh my
That's
gosh,
the
it's-
stupidest thing. Person helped you, that's it.
That's it,
Be
that's it.
thankful
Be
for
thankful.
them. That's it.
Does not
There's-
matter.
it shouldn't matter in all, but it's the world we live in now.
Yeah.
What can we say? What can we do but just sit and watch?
Try to be an example.
Try to be right,
That's it.
exactly. Try to be an example of what you would like to see coming back at you. In order to be loved, you've got to be the one who's doing the loving. And then it comes back to you a millionfold. So ladies and gentlemen, I am Dina Nierenberg, and this is Tiffany Stoika. Thank you so much for joining me
Thank
today,
you
my
for
darling.
having me.
My pleasure,
Thank
honey.
you.
My pleasure,
I love you,
anytime.
Dina.
Love you too. And this is Sarah Rosenbaum. intuitive practitioner and an amazing, amazing friend of mine. Also, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so
First
much for
time.
inviting me.
My pleasure. Looking forward to many more,
Yes.
to many more shows
Same.
together.
I
Thank you
love
so much.
that.
I would love that too. Love you all.
Bye.
Love you all. Take care of yourselves.